start seated. Let's start seated. You can all see my mat. So I'm going to join my cat. I should have said this earlier, ladies. I do apologise. If you've got a band, grab it. If you've got a long band, grab it. If not, don't worry. You can do all of this class without the band. Let me just spotlight myself as well. Keep getting to do that. And I am recording. Spotlight video. Good. And yeah, if you've got a long band, have that ready. So my picture doesn't quite look straight, but anyway. My tripod's even got like a little bubble on it, so you can see if it's straight. It's all very technical. Excuse me, pussycat. Okay, so let's sit in a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to be cross-legged like mine. It can be however you want it to be. And if it's comfortable for you, just close the eyes. I've got my glasses on. And notice how you're sitting. So I always sit with my body weight forward. It's never centered. I'm always sort of like leaning forward. So it's something that I have to think about. So you might be the same. You might be leaning back. You might be feeling that you're centered through the front and back of body. So make any adjustments that you need so that you feel that your head is directly on top of your pelvis and your hip area. This will support your spine in its optimum position. And then we're just going to take a few breaths. So we're going to really work into this area today, into the rib cage. We're going to take the hands around the ribs, thumbs to the back if you can, and then the shoulders just softening down. So not this movement. And then start to breathe naturally and just notice, are your ribs at all moving? Just breathe naturally. Can you feel your ribs expanding in your normal breath? And if you do feel your ribs, is it the front, the side, the back? Maybe you feel the front, the side, the back a little bit more. Maybe it feels quite even. So ideally, we have this three-dimensional breath. So your rib cage are supporting your diaphragm, that sits just underneath the rib cage. So the muscles between the ribs help with the breathing. So let's see if we can expand into the breath, into the rib cage. Let's try the back of the ribs. And then you exhale through pursed lips like you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake. Good. And then see if you can bring that movement into not just the back, but the side of the rib cage. So often we breathe, a lot of us, just into the front body. But the biggest part of your lung capacity is at the back. If you feel your rib cage, it comes much lower down at the back of the body than it does at the front. Most of the lungs are in the back of the body. And then begin to expand that out into the front of the rib cage as well, but not just the front. So it's sort of like all three areas, three dimensions. Back, side, front of the ribs. And then exhale through the mouth 2 more times. So somebody asked me on the WhatsApp group, why do we breathe differently in Pilates to yoga? And it's a very long answer. Jan it was. She said, oh, a quick question. I was like, my goodness, that's I could write a book on that. One of the reasons we exhale through the mouth, keep breathing, I asked you just to, but just to explain this to you, one of the reasons that we exhale through the mouth in Pilates is when we exhale, our core contracts. So with the breath, as we exhale through the mouth, we give that a little bit more force. So we work a little bit deeper into the core. So that's why we're breathing out, one of the reasons. Through the mouth rather than the nose in Pilates. Okay, relax the arms and now just breathe naturally. And because we've thought about it and we've focused on the breathing, then your breath might have changed a little bit naturally. So because we're working in this area today, we're going to really think about the breathing as well. We're going to start with a rotation, elbows into the body, palms facing up. Nose stays in line with your breastbone. Take a breath in, small exhale to the right, keep your hips facing forward. Notice if there does feel some restriction there. Come back to the centre, exhale to the left. Does it feel a little bit different? Maybe it feels the same. Continue, you're exhaling, nose in line with breastbone, hips staying forward. Come back to the centre, exhale to the opposite side. Check in with your body position. Have you come back out of alignment to your habit? See if you can keep the weight even to the front and back of the body. Come back to the centre, lengthen the arms away from you. There's still a slight bend in the elbows. The hands are slightly forward so you can see them in your peripheral vision. The arms stay still. We rotate from the rib cage and we're also using those side muscles, the obliques. Exhale. Try not to let the arms move. Exhale to the right, hips staying forward. It's like we're swiveling, so the nose is staying in line with the breastbone. Try not to let the head move independently. We keep it in alignment, we'll get more movement through the rib cage. Okay, continue here. A few more rounds of breath. Good. So if you've got your legs out long, your ankles should be staying glued together. Welcome back, Julie. We're just rotating seated. And then back to the centre. Once you've gone to the left, we're coming back into the centre. Okay, relax the arms for a moment, roll the shoulders, just release the arms off. Then this time, I'm going to take the arms out, but this time turn the hands so the back of the hands are facing forward. So palms of the hands are going to press back. And then we take them back slightly behind the line of the shoulder if you can. You're just pressing back like you're pressing into some resistance. And then you're going to twist to the right, and then you're going to press your back hand further back behind you, and then come back. So the arm comes back. Then you exhale to the left, and then press that back arm behind you, and bring it back to where it was, back to the centre. And then if you want to, you can add these little pulse movements into the movement. Good. So 3 little pulses, and you press that back hand a little further back behind you, yeah, to get a little bit more movement into the rib cage. Make sure the top of the shoulders are soft and relaxed. I know it's challenging with those arms up. Relax them and take a moment if you need to. Okay, finish on the left. And then release, come back into the centre. It's quite tough that one, isn't it? Roll the shoulders. And then roll them forward. Come to hands and knees and come into your cat stretch. Hopefully you can see me, my cat's at my feet. So let's think about breathing as we move into the cat stretch and what's happening into the ribs. You're going to take a breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to press up, expand into the ribs. And then we're going to hold here and breathe in. And then exhale, come forward, tailbone lifts. Breathe in. It's on that in breath and the ribs are expanding. Exhale, tuck under. Inhale, hold here. And then exhale, come forward. One more time. 4 rounds of breath in each part of the movement. Good. Hold here in a neutral position. And then we're going to take the weight more to the right side of the body. So this isn't sitting back into a child's pose, but we're pressing back, right hand, right knee, and pressing back, but keeping the spine long. If I go further, my spine, lower back starts to round, so I'm not going to go that low. Do press back, right hand, right knee. Go back to where you can, keeping the spine long, and then back into the centre. 2 more this side. So predominantly on that right side is where the weight is. Press back. Release. Move over to the left. Same movement. Just check in. Have you got as much movement on this side? Maybe you've got a little bit more. Exhale, press back. 2 more. And then last one. Then bring everything back to the centre and now sit back into your child's pose. So if you need something behind your bottom, please have something behind the bottom. Stretch the arms forward. Rest the head down. So either onto the floor or onto the pillow. And then we're going to think about that 3-dimensional breath here. So you're breathing into the nose, expanding into the rib cage. Focus on the back because that's the one that we normally neglect, but then take it into the side and front and then exhale through the mouth. Good. 2 more rounds of breath. This is just so we bring our mind and focus on our breathing for the rest of the practice. So you should feel those ribs expanding, the muscles between the rib cage. Notice how they assist in the mechanism of breathing. Okay, let's come up to sit at the front of your mat, or your imaginary mat if you don't have one. Have the feet on the floor and have the knees facing up to the ceiling. From here, lengthen from the tailbone and roll back. I want you to check what your knees are doing. If they tend to roll in or out, take a couple of cushions between your knees. If you do have a Pilates ball, then you would use the Pilates ball, but cushions are fine as well. So if you can keep your knees facing up, it's okay, but this can be helpful. Take a breath in, move from the tailbone, squeeze the cushion or the ball if it's there, and then breathe in, come back. Going to tuck under slightly, not too far, and then rotate to the right. Palms are facing each other. Head is in the centre of the hands. You come back to the centre, and then you lift up. I'm just turning my head to look at you, but keep your gaze forward. You're squeezing the ball or cushions if they're there. You're turning to the right, about a half turn. Head stays in the centre of the hands. You come back to the centre, and then you lift up. Good, let's have a look, continue. So if the knees do wander in, do have something between the knees. You can give the surface a squeeze. Okay, next time you go to the left, make that the last one. We're going to add on here if you want to. So you can stay with that movement. If that was challenging for you, stay with it and just repeat it. If you want to add on, we're going to add on. So you're going to take a breath in, tuck under. Some of you have done this with me, turn to the right, and then you tuck under a bit further, come back through the centre, move to the left. And then you come up 1, back to the centre, to the right, and then you lift up, and then back to the center. So you choose, you can stay with what we just did, or you come down to the right, come down a little bit more, through the center to the left. Hold here, check the knees if you haven't got anything between them. Then you lift up, come back through the center, move to the right, and then you come up through the right and back to the center. Okay, continue. So we are using our core muscles, the center of the core, it's called the TVA, really internal muscles, but we're also using these oblique muscles when we move to the side. You should feel those supporting you. So it's often helpful if you think about the muscles that we're working, and then you engage mind and body. If you can, one more, rest if you need. So once you come up, you can release the body over the legs, this last one. And then you might be pleased to know we're going to roll down and lie down. Sorry, I keep forgetting to look at the camera. You can just see the side of my head. Okay, roll down. I'm going to share this lovely stretch with you in a minute. So let's find our neutral spine position. So we've got weight in the back of the hips, the sacrum area, which is above your tailbone, below your lower back, those 5 fused bones, and then back of the ribs. And then take your hands behind your head, interlace them, but watch what happens to the rib cage. So if it starts to lift up and the back arches, see if you can draw the back of the ribs down back into the mat. So the feet are on the floor and the knees are bent for a moment. And we take a breath in, just lift the elbows slightly so you can see them in your peripheral vision, and exhale, lift without changing your spine position. And then breathe in, lower, exhale, lift. Good, so this is the ab preparation. Watch the ribs as you come back. Flatten the back of the ribs into the floor. Exhale, lift. Nothing changes in the spine. So we're staying in that neutral position. 2 more. And then last one. Release. Stretch the legs along the floor. Check in with the ribs. So I've got quite a big arch in my back. I have to work really hard in my Pilates classes. So if that's you, you can bring your elbows up a little bit and see if you can flatten the back of the ribs a bit more into the floor. So you're keeping that rib and hip connection. And draw the toes towards you and then move your body over to the right. So your right elbow is moving towards your right foot. And then you press out through the left foot for even more stretch in the side of the body. I'm pressing out through my left heel. I'm moving my right elbow to my right foot. It's nowhere near it, of course. And then swivel back through the centre over to the left. So one side might feel that you've got a lot more movement. This side I've got more movement. So just check in for yourself. And then you're moving the left elbow to the left foot and you're pressing that through your right heel. Keep the head on the floor if you can. You can lift the elbows slightly if it's more comfortable. So you move through the centre. Let's do that one more time. So this is my new offering to you that I discovered yesterday with my teacher, Julie. Do you like it? Give me a toes up if you do. And then when you do this next one, I want you to stay here and breathe. Breathe into the rib cage. Feel the ribs expand. Feel the ribs expanding. Good. So just finishing. Can't remember what side we started. I think I started on the left. Finish on the right side. And then release from there. Okay, from here you're going to roll over onto the side body. Might need a cushion for this, for the head. I better do this side because the cat's on the other side. So underneath arm is coming forward. So just make sure you're facing forward so you can have a little look. Underneath arm, underneath you, knees bent, heels in line with your sitting bones. Your knees aren't at a right angle with your hips, they're slightly in a diagonal. And the most important thing for this movement is that we keep the hips stacked and the knees stacked. This will give you the most movement through your rib cage. I'm going to slide the top hand past the underneath hand so you feel the shoulder blade opening on that side. And then from that lengthened movement, you lift the arm up, you start to turn the head, and you take the arm behind you as far as it can go without the hips moving. You don't want that back hip to slide away from the top hip. You draw that circle on the ceiling, you bring the arm back, and then you slide it forward. From that forward position, you lift the arm, you turn the head, you take the arm behind as far as you can, keeping the knees and the hips stacked. Okay, there's 2 more of those. We'll do 4 all together. And then we're going to do the circles. We start in the same position. You move the arm forward, you take it behind you, and then you draw a circle. And again, the most important thing is that the knees and the hips stay stacked. So you reach it forward, you take it up, turn the head, palm is up when it's behind you, and then you come back. You sweep it forward. Palm is down as it comes to the side of the body, and then when you turn, the palm is up. Good. Last one. I'm going to stay on this side, and then we're going to interlace the hands and take them behind the head. You may not need the cushion at this point, so just judge that for yourself. Same movement, now with the elbows folded. So knees, hips stay in alignment. So I'm going to bring top elbow to underneath elbow, and then exhale. And I want you to notice on this one how far back you can go. And we're going to check on the other side. You're breathing, we'll exhale actually here. Let's exhale here. And then inhale when the ribs expand naturally. Inhale as you open. And then exhale. Check in with your knees, check in with your hips. And then exhale. Last one. And then open. And then that top elbow, you're not trying to take it up, you're sort of trying to take it to the corner of the room behind you. Okay, come forward and then take the top leg up. You're going to lift the top leg line of the hip. Have a little look so the edge of your foot is horizontal to the ceiling, not turning out. And then we fold in. We keep the leg long. We take the elbow behind without rolling back on the hip. So that would be really telling now if you're rolling back. And then we come forward and we bend the knee in, line of the hip, no further. And then you press away. Imagine you're pressing your foot against a wall, and then you open the top elbow back behind you. 2 more. Exhale. Let's inhale as we open, ribs expand at this point. Last one of these. Good. Keep the leg where it is, and then bring the elbow forward. And then knee in, breathe in here. Exhale, fold in, leg stretches out. Inhale, try and keep the knee in line with the hip, it's not dropping, it's not higher. Good. Press away. And breathe in here. And then last one, press away. And then take the elbow back behind you. Good. Release forward, tap the leg, bring it forward, give it a little tap. Press yourself up, and we'll come to the opposite side. Everyone okay with those? All good? So we're starting to move through the rib cage. So this is like the crisscross exercise that we do on our backs, and that's what we're working towards the end of the class, to do that crisscross. So we've got a bit more movement at that point through the rib cage. Okay, so cushions at the ready if you need them. Underneath arm, long knees stacked, knees at an angle, heels in line with sitting bones. Stretch the top arm forward. From that position, lift it up, turn the head, take the arm behind you. Reach up, come forward, stretch forward so you feel the shoulder blades separate. Then you lift up and then you turn. Most important thing is your knees and hips are staying together so we get all the movement through the rib cage. Otherwise, you just lose that movement in the ribs, and the point of this exercise is to get that space in the rib cage. Okay, next time you come forward, no rush, you don't have to work at my pace. You start the circles. The arm comes behind, and then when you turn, the palm is up to the ceiling, and then you come back. Press it forward. Take the arm up, turn the head, palm opens, and circle. Very nice for the shoulder joint as well, by the way. Good, 2 more. You choose this range of movement, so you're completely in control with how far you're moving through your shoulder. Okay, last one. And then release. Okay, you might want to take the cushion out of the way, fold the arms underneath you. So this is the one where we're going to compare how far we can go. So you're going to take a breath in and take the top elbow back. I feel more restricted in this one today. Good. Exhale, fold. Remember, knees, hips down together. Inhale, open. Good. 2 more. Last one. And now the hard work begins. Oh, this might be hard work. Good. Top leg lifts. Press the foot away. Have a little look. Outside edge of the foot, horizontal to the ceiling. Okay. Keep the leg there and then open the top elbow. Not much is happening for me today. And then you bring the knee forward just to the line of the hip. Try not to let it drop, and it's not lifted behind, above the line of the hip. Good. Breathe in. Press the leg away. Exhale. Come forward. 2 more. Press as though you're pressing that foot against the wall, not rotating back. So if you do rotate, you'll fall over. Good. Last one. This. And then come forward. Good. Keep the leg there. And then open out. And then come forward, stretching the leg. So the elbows are joining. Sorry, there's a cat in the way. Good. Breathe in, knee bends. It's the breath in as you take the elbow behind you. It's the exhale as you come forward. Really press out through the heel of the foot. 2 more. And then press the leg away. Last one. Breathe in. Starts to open a little bit more the more we do. And then press. And then release, tap out the hip. And roll onto your back. Bring your knees in towards your chest. So we're going to do a little bit in bridge. So if anybody needs an alternative, you can come to hands and knees. Just noticed Helen disappeared. Or you're going to stay on your backs and come into bridge pose. Sorry, Helen, I didn't realise that I'd lost you. Helen Turner, that is. So cat will be your alternative, or we're in bridge, feet hip width apart. So from bridge, you're not going to lift too high on the first one. So you're just going to lift like you're in a hammock. And then you press into your right foot. So your right hip is higher than your left. You press into your left so that left is higher than the right. You press into the right is higher. And then you press into the left to even out. So hips are level. And then exhale. Slowly release. And lower down. I'll do that one more time with you. You come up, just part way. So you're lengthening from the tailbone, lift up, squeeze into the glutes. Press the right foot, right hip higher. Press left, left hip higher. It's like you're climbing up into bridge. Right hip higher. And then even out when you press into the left foot, both hips level. And then exhale. Slowly release and lower the hips. Okay. 2 more times. Just have a look. Once you've done your last one, bring your knees in towards your chest. Okay, finding your neutral position. Come up onto your right toes and lift your right leg. So you're moving from your hip, tabletop position. And then stretch the leg up to the ceiling and lengthen the opposite leg. So if you've got your bands at this point, you're going to use your band around your foot. So right foot. So even length of band. If you haven't got the band, you can do this without. So we're going to flex the toes, just because it's easier to grip the band. And then start to move the leg across the body. So you can do this without the band. And then you come back into the centre, and then you move it away from the body. So just get a bit of movement into the hip. Good. Across the body. Through the centre, away from the body. And then from that position, away from the body, quite a big movement if you've got the band, smaller if you haven't. You take the leg down, you bring it forward, you bring it across and up. So we are turning toes out as we take the foot away, parallel as it comes to the centre, and toes turning in as it crosses the midline of the body. So this is just moving a little bit more into the hip. It's not about particularly control in the core, but we don't want to be moving too far. But there might be some sort of movement through the pelvis. So if you haven't got the band, you can do this, but you make it smaller. You turn the toes out, you bring the toes back to parallel, and then you bring them inwards. So parallel, out, parallel, and then in as you cross the midline of the body. So when we get a little bit more movement into the hips, it can make some of the exercises a little bit more achievable. Then you're going to turn the circle in the opposite direction. So you come across the body first, toes turning in, parallel, and then out as you come out away from the midline of the body. Good. 2 more circles. And then release on that side, switch legs when you're ready. So it's going to be exactly the same on this leg. So do make sure that you find that neutral position, especially when you stretch the leg away. If your ribs start to lift, see if you can just drop the back of the ribs into the mat. And then we'll start. Just take the leg across the body to start with, through the center and then out to the side, just so the leg gets used to that movement in this side. Make any adjustments for your hips as you need. It's a smaller range of movement if you need to. And then next time it comes out, you start that circle, toes turn out, parallel, and then in as it crosses the midline of the body. Good. 2 more in this direction. Try not to bend at the wrists. You've got to try and keep the wrists strong. And then circle, take the circle in the opposite direction. So sometimes we find it easier one going one way than the other. And you might find it easier one side of your body than the other. Good. 2 more. Last one. Keep that leg in the band and take it up to the ceiling, and then bring the other leg up to join it. So 1 foot is in the band, 1 foot is out of the band. Rachel, your cat looks very interested in what you're doing. Okay. So left leg is in the band, right leg is out of the band. So this is our scissor exercise. Legs really close together. If you can, forearms down on the floor so you're going to get more resistance on that left leg. So I've started holding the band just with my 2 middle fingers, my thumb and my little finger facing up. It's less pressure on your wrist, so just be aware of you're not bending at your wrist. So from here, let's focus on the leg in the band first of all. Breathe in, exhale, start to take the leg down. Inhale, come back in. So remember, we're trying not to come out of that neutral position. And this time, I'm going to take the leg down and then focus on the top leg and press it up to the ceiling at the same time. And then come back in. Exhale. Left leg comes down, right heel presses up to the ceiling. Come back in to the center. Exhale. If you want to add on, you can lift your head as you lower the leg. And then breathe in. Come back to the center. You nod the head, you lift up, but think about pressing the right heel up to the ceiling. You come back in. 2 more. Very good, lovely. Let's switch legs. So right foot in the band, left leg out. Both legs up straight. Fairly close together, but make sure you've got enough space to move the legs. Let's focus on the leg in the band this time, this first one. Exhale, lower. Keep your neutral spine as you lower. So watch the ribs, back of the ribs in the floor. Good. Breathe in. Lift up. Good. Exhale, lower the leg in the band, but now think about the left leg at the same time, the heel pressing up to the ceiling. Good. You can add in that head lift if you want to. Good. So when you press that opposite leg up to the ceiling, you should feel a little bit more in your core than if that leg is just not doing anything. Particularly that lower part of the abdominal muscles. Good. Good. 2 more. I think we've done more this side, but never mind. I must learn to count. And then let's take both legs into the band. So maybe you could do all this without a band. I should have said that earlier, but you could just do this without the band. Absolutely. So this one, feet fairly close together. We're going to slightly lift the tailbone off the floor and press the heels into the mat, and then release that, and then lower the legs, staying in neutral. So you don't want the back of your ribs to come off the mat, I'll say. Okay, breathe in, lift the heels, tailbone lifts off, lower, exhale. You can lift the head if you want to. Good. Come back to the center, lift, tailbone, exhale, lower the legs, stay in that neutral position. Good, breathe in, lift the tailbone, exhale, lower the legs. Two more like this. And then we're going to slightly change it. When you come back into the center, you're now going to bend your knees out to the side in a frog position. That's it, Karen, yeah. And then you're going to lift the legs up and then lower the legs. So I'll come with you. So we're here. The knees come out to the side. Then we press up and then we lower the legs. Going to exhale here. Breathe in, lift. Exhale, bend the knees. Good. Breathe in, press up. Exhale. If you want to add in head movement, you lift at this point as you lower the legs. Good. Inhale to the center. And then exhale, knees bend. Breathe in, lift. The tailbone slightly lifts, then it drops, then you exhale, you lower, breathe in, tailbone lifts, it drops, exhale, knees come wide. Okay, last two of these, just have a little look. So keeping the back of the ribs down if you're not lifting the head. If you're lifting the head as you lift up, just try and feel that rib hip connection, but you're not pushing your lower back into the floor. Good. And then release from there. Okay, we ready for our finale exercise? So hopefully the idea is that everything that we've now done has freed up the body, especially in that rib cage, to execute this movement most efficiently. So this is our crisscross. So no equipment. Feet flat on the mat, hands behind the head. So interlace the hands and they're supporting the head, not the neck. So checking if the ribs are arching or flaring, you soften the back of the ribs into the floor. We're going to come up through the center. This is how we started the class. Take a breath in, elbows slightly forward, exhale, lift. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Going to add in the twist. Exhale, lift. Now when you twist, I'm going to go to the left. I want you to think about your left elbow. So take a breath in, exhale, and you're going to open your left elbow out to the side. So sometimes we think about that top elbow, but we don't want it to come forward. So we're trying to get movement here into the side oblique muscles, rib cage. You breathe in, you come back to the center. We're moving to the right. You're thinking about your right elbow as you open it out to the side. You come back in to the center. Continue. This is our first option. So I found that this made quite a big difference thinking about that opposite elbow. So trying to get that space between the ribs or open the ribs and really use the oblique muscles to bring you round both sides of the oblique muscles. Good. Okay. Let's finish on the right. And then release. So we're just going to do that one more time. You can stay with that version, or you can come to the second option. So this is where we lift the feet from the floor. So you stay in your neutral, you lift one leg, you lift the other. So this is your choice. Or you stay with your feet flat on the floor for today. Take a breath in, exhale, lift. Just going through the center. One more time. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Move to your left and think about the left elbow. Come back to the center. Move to your right. Think about your right elbow. Come back to the center. Let's lower the head in between. Exhale, lift. Over to your left elbow, to the center, over to your right elbow, back to the center, lower the body. 2 more times. Good. Find that openness in the ribs, but also working those oblique muscles. I think this is your last one, isn't it? Unless you're counting slowly or quickly. Check your knee alignment, if your knees are lifted, over your hips. Well done. Release back to the floor and draw your knees in towards your chest. Stretch out the body, point through the fingers, point through the toes. Come to hands and knees and let's take a cat stretch just to release through the spine. And then bring yourself to sit just as we began the class. So wherever you were seated last time, same position. Close the eyes, check in with your alignment. I always find that after a Pilates class, my alignment is naturally much better than it was at the beginning. So I'm not leaning forward. I was really leaning forward when I started. I've sort of adjusted my body position. I hope that you're noticing something similar. Good. Take a deep breath in. Reach the arms up. V-shape the arms. So nice and wide. Soften the shoulders. Lengthen. Take a breath in. Exhale to the right. Keep the length. Keep the lift as you come back through the center to the left. Keep the lift as you come back through the center. One more time. Back to the center, last one. Back to the center. Release the arms to the side of the body. Reach the left arm up. Side stretch, move your right fingers away. Keep your right sitting bone and your left sitting bone down into the mat. So you don't want that left sitting bone to lift. Can you stretch a little bit more through the side body? We've worked that side body a lot today. And then reach up back to the centre. Right arm lifts. Side stretch, left arm moves, hand moves, not too far, just to where you can go. Left sitting bone will be down, right sitting bone, press it down if it's lifted. And then can you go deeper into that side stretch, just very slowly. Breathe into the body. And then reach up, come back into the centre, roll the shoulders. And then roll them the opposite way. Let's just finish with a little shrug. Shoulders up. And then let them go one more time. And then release and let the shoulders soften. Okay, well done.